We're taking you into the news right now with the Fox 45 news feed. It's 11 a.m. We are now just hours away from a third public hearing as leaders at Johns Hopkins University move forward with plans to create their own police force. Coming up, the pushback that's already being felt. And pointing fingers, the continued criticism DPW is facing over fallout over that Labor Day weekend E. coli contamination of the water in West Baltimore, what the department is now blaming. And after hitting Florida as a Category 4 hurricane, Ian is still moving up the East Coast. Meteorologist Amy Aronson is tracking the storm and will tell us when we will feel Ian's effects. Fox 45 News Midday starts right now.
Live from WBFF in Baltimore, this is Fox 45 News Midday.
Thanks so much for joining us for Fox 45 News Midday. I'm Shannon Lilly. Breaking news, Russian President Vladimir Putin says the 4 regions that voted to be part of his country are now absorbed. The president spoke to hundreds at the event and said Russia will protect the new territories using, quote, all available means. He also referred to Ukraine as the Kyiv regime and said its military needs to stop its attacks. Putin also spent much of his speech accusing the West, particularly the U.S., of spreading Russophobia and oppression. Ukraine and many Western countries have said they will not acknowledge the 4 territories as Russian. Right now, the devastation caused by Ian is far from over. After hitting Florida, the storm is now moving up the East Coast. For a closer look at where the storm moves next, let's go straight to meteorologist Amy Aronson. Amy, what can we expect?
Yeah, right now the storm is actually just about 100 miles south-southeast of Charleston, South Carolina, producing max sustained winds of 85 miles an hour. And we are expecting another landfall actually just north of Charleston in Georgetown, South Carolina this afternoon. And the latest track from the National Hurricane Center shows that expected landfall in advance of that. Hurricane warnings are posted for the entire coastline of South Carolina, actually extending into North Carolina there, where impacts are also expected even as that storm weakens back to a tropical storm and eventually a remnant low. But at that point, it becomes our problem just in time for the weekend. Actually, we'll start to see the first showers courtesy of this system shortly. Looks like by this evening, we'll see some light rain develop here with the heaviest stuff coming tonight. Now, coming up in 10 minutes, we'll take a closer look at the timeline of the rain for us here in Maryland this weekend, and I'll let you know exactly what it means for all your outdoor weekend plans. Shannon?
All right, Amy, we'll look forward to that. Thank you. In a city in crisis, there's new video showing the moments after a shooting at a bus stop near Mandauman Mall. Viewer video shows that bus stop, what happened after police say 2 kids got into a fight before one pulled out a gun and shot the other. This shooting and the recent shooting in Fells Point putting those who live in the city on edge.
The whole city, not just one neighborhood.
This is a very difficult task. We're dealing with violence in a city that we've been dealing with for multiple decades. We're not going to come in and change this overnight.
Now, despite the rise in violence, the deputy mayor for public safety says crime is trending in the right direction.
Today, Baltimore is 1 homicide under last year. We started the month at, I believe, 52 shootings, non-fatal. Today, we're at 38 maybe, so there's a reduction. I base how I view things on the data, and that data says that we're going in the right direction.
Anthony Barksdale says there is still room for progress. One of his main goals is transparency from the mayor and City Hall. Well, as the crime crisis continues, leaders at Johns Hopkins University's campus are moving forward with plans to create their own police force. A third hearing on the issue is set to happen in just a few hours. But as Olivia Dance shows us, the idea is being met with lots of criticism.
There is a virtual forum today to talk about creating a Johns Hopkins police force right here on campus. But last night's meeting and the meeting before that were both shut down by protesters. University administrators were prepared to answer questions about their plans to form their own police department, but the armed force would be dedicated to tackling the crime that's now creeping onto campus.
We're impacted by assaults, we're impacted by robberies, and even murders here on our East Baltimore campus. I have individuals who come here to work who are afraid to come from the parking garage into the building.
Hopkins already employs more than 1,000 private security workers, but this new police force made up of about 100 officers would have all the powers of a Baltimore City police officer. But the police force would agree to a number of measures, including complying with the city's consent decree, wearing body cameras, and only tackling minor crimes. But protesters still have concerns.
There's already incidences of university police going beyond their reach. I know people personally have been discriminated, and introducing guns into that equation is not a good idea.
Last night's meeting was held virtually, but some community members were allowed to come. Protesters, though, still showed up and shut down the auditorium after just 30 minutes. Now, Fox 45 News spoke to community members who actually came to the forum to learn, and they were very frustrated. Take a listen.
I'm not going to say they're crazy. They've been misguided.
I respect their ability to protest and make their noise and do what they did, but let everybody else come out and have a voice at a town hall meeting.
And again, the meeting today will be held virtually, so we're just going to have to wait and see if any progress is made. For now, reporting in Baltimore, I'm Olivia Dance, Fox 45 News, Midday.
All right, Olivia, thank you. Here's our look at today's top trending stories. Trending number one, lawyers for Baltimore City State's Attorney Marilyn Mosby filed a motion opposing a gag order in her federal trial. Prosecutors called for a gag order after Mosby's defense attorney held a news conference following the hearing where the trial was postponed. Now, Mosby's team claims the jury pool has already been infected, and they're citing reporting from Fox 45 News. You can find more on this latest filing. That's on our website, foxbaltimore.com. Trending number two, the Maryland Court of Special Appeals is denying a motion from Republican gubernatorial candidate Dan Cox to stop mail-in ballots from being counted early. The Board of Elections can now start counting mail-in ballots on Saturday. Trending number three, at a second hearing on the West Baltimore water crisis, DPW blaming the city's aging infrastructure, saying it may be one of many factors that contributed to the Labor Day weekend contamination. But none of DPW's 3 communication employees were at that hearing, prompting this reaction from Councilman Yitzi Schleifer. Take a listen.
Something does not add up. Why wouldn't the people who were so active and involved in this situation from the start, and also all the communication to the public, why they wouldn't be here is really mind-boggling.
Well, DPW officials did say they may be able to pinpoint where that contamination came from. They say valve repair on Kirk Avenue and a sinkhole on North Avenue played a role. Download the Fox 45 News app for up-to-the-minute traffic conditions, breaking news, and weather anytime. Just search WBFF in your app store. Still ahead, giving new meaning to the term Airbus. If you book American, your next flight might actually be on a bus. The new service the airline is rolling out in place of shorter distance flights. And a new COVID booster shot for kids could be just days away when approval could come. Plus, this first federal lawsuit linked to the Uvalde shooting is being filed. The targets of the suit ahead.
Fox 45 News, winner of 17 2022 Regional Emmy Awards, more than all other Baltimore news stations combined.
Wow, look at that. Caught on camera. A look at the power of water produced by Hurricane Ian. This video was taken inside a Naples, Florida apartment building. Now, the man who recorded it says the water broke the door down. It rose above his head and carried him up the stairs. The force then tried to drag him back down, which he resisted by holding onto a guardrail.
It looks like a bomb went off here, to be honest with you. It's beyond what I thought was capable of happening.
Goodness. Well, the hurricane ravaged central Florida before moving into the Atlantic Ocean and strengthening. It is now expected to make another landfall in South Carolina near Charleston. Stick with us. We'll check in with meteorologist Amy Aronson coming up in just a few minutes. Taking a look at your social stream now, the first federal lawsuit linked to the Uvalde school shooting is now being filed. The families of the 3 shooting survivors are going after the gun maker, the school district, and the police. You'll recall police waited for more than an hour before entering a classroom and killing the gunman. According to the lawsuit, the city's police department failed to follow state-mandated active shooter training. The suit also accuses the school districts, then police chief, and the school's principal of creating a dangerous environment. And the families say the manufacturer for the gun used in the shooting uses aggressive marketing tactics that recklessly endanger kids. So let's look at what people are saying online. Here's Jason saying they should sue the school district as well. They've been locked down more than 40 times prior to this, and they did nothing to improve security. Sue the police department for failure to serve and protect. And here's Larry. He says that this lawsuit should include the parents of the shooter as well. A Capitol rioter who created a militia he named Patriot Boys has been sentenced to more than 4 years behind bars for assaulting a police officer, a crime that he pleaded guilty to. Police say on the 6th, Lucas Denny tried to pull barricades away from a line of officers several times. He tried to take a police officer's baton, punched an officer's face shield, and swung a pole at an officer, hitting a journalist instead. So Benjamin here is surprised that that's all the time he gets behind bars. He says, imagine a person of color doing just one of the things that he did to a police officer. What would their outcome be? And then here's this one. So just slightly more than people who just walked through and took pictures. Well, P.F. Chang's is getting in on the subscription trend. The popular restaurant chain is relaunching its 7-year-old loyalty program to include a paid tier. For $6.99 per month, members of the chain's Platinum Rewards program will earn 15 points for each dollar spent. Now, it's redeemable for a $15 credit once 2,000 points are accumulated. Other big-name chains that have jumped on the subscription bandwagon recently include Subway and Panera. But look at this. Christopher is doing the math, and he says that this is interesting. He says for every $133 you spend at P.F. Chang's, you get $15 back, but the subscription costs $6.99 per month. So you have to be spending at least $70 a month every month at P.F. Chang's to get your money's worth. And he says, guess there are some real P.F. Chang diehards out there. Hey, I'm not going to lie. In the height of the pandemic, I might have been one of those people. All right, and then we have John here saying P.F. Chang's has one big thing going for it, a decent gluten-free menu. I bet it's a lot of families with celiac kids. Still ahead, inflation is impacting more and more Americans. The shocking number of people looking for second and third jobs just to make ends meet. And COVID changing our ways. The pandemic has done more than change the way many of us view our health. How the pandemic has actually changed our personalities, too. It is 11:14. You're watching Fox 45 News, Midday. We're back with a live look over the inner harbor. It's dry right now, but we could see rain this weekend as Ian moves north. Coming up, we're going to check in with meteorologist Amy Aronson for a closer look at that timing. A new study found some people in the U.S. experienced personality changes during the pandemic, especially younger adults. Well, researchers looked at pre-pandemic levels of neuroticism, extroversion, openness, agreeableness, and conscientiousness. They found that after the pandemic, extroversion, agreeableness, and conscientiousness all declined. Making headlines, America's biggest online retailer says some of its workers will soon be making more money. Amazon announced the pay bump will happen next month. That means the average starting pay for warehouse workers and delivery drivers will jump to $19 an hour. The raise comes ahead of the busy holiday season and at a time when Amazon workers in several facilities are planning to unionize. Well, a new report says 70% of Americans are looking for extra work to combat inflation. That's what more than 1,000 workers, including full-time, part-time, and unemployed people, indicated in a new survey. This after the year-over-year inflation rate checked in at 8.3% in August. Despite inflation and rising costs, Lego sales are skyrocketing. Who would have thought? The world's largest toy maker says revenue jumped 17% in the first half of this year, reaching $3.5 billion. Consumer sales also saw a boost. Popular theme sets such as Star Wars and Harry Potter contributed to the record sales. And if you are a fan of Legos, don't forget you can watch Lego Masters. That is Wednesday at 9, and it's right here on Fox 45. All right, a new survey is calling out the worst kind of flyers. Vacationer surveyed 1,100 people on airline etiquette to see who the worst offenders are. Top of the list, seat kickers, followed by those who are drunk or disorderly, and coming in at number 3, passengers with body odor, followed by parents who ignore their kids, and then rounding out the top 5, people who bring smelly foods onto the plane. And lastly, passengers who hog the armrest. Well, from airplane etiquette now to an aerial view. New video shows the damage over Florida caused by Hurricane Ian. A look from the sky shows the mass devastation. Look at that. You can see homes destroyed by the wind and water. And Ian is now heading up the East Coast. For a closer look at where it's heading next, let's go straight to meteorologist Amy Aronson. Amy, how could this impact us?
Yeah, eventually it's going to send us rain, but first I want to start off with where it's headed right now because it's awfully close to making another landfall. If I put this radar into motion, you can see the eye right here. It's actually nearing the coast of South Carolina, Georgetown to be exact. Already they are experiencing tropical storm force winds there, very heavy rain, also very dangerous storm surge. So first the impacts will be felt for our neighbors to the south in South and North Carolina as this system moves onshore as a Category 1 hurricane. Once it moves onshore, it will start to weaken, and it will continue to weaken as it pushes our way. And the reason behind that has to do with this area of high pressure up to our north. That's filtering in some drier air. So although we'll track some heavy rain at times, I think things will be lightening as we get into the weekend. Now, it looks like the first showers from this system arrive locally between 7 and 8 o'clock this evening. The heaviest rain actually comes through overnight while most of us are sleeping. Wraps up really early tomorrow morning. But starting at 7 a.m. still doesn't look pretty. We've got on and off showers here through the afternoon, through the early evening hours, and that's not going to change. Actually, all weekend pretty much looks like this. It's going to be damp, it's going to be dreary, it's going to be breezy, plus we've got a little bit of light rain to go along with it. Actually, some moderate rain redeveloping here as we get into Sunday evening. In terms of how much rain we're expected, here's an updated look at the numbers. You'll notice between 1, even 2 inches in most locations, with the highest amount south and east of here. That's where we could see 2, 2.5, close to 3 inches of rain as you head across the bay to the eastern shore and to the beaches. It's also going to be kind of breezy out there. Even this afternoon, we'll see our wind gusts picking up to about 20 miles an hour. And then that stays pretty consistent as we head through the weekend. I think winds ramp up overnight, 25, 30 miles an hour in terms of our gusts. And then they'll stay gusting at 15, 20 miles an hour as we head throughout the day on Saturday. Just a raw, cool feeling day. And that trend actually continues Sunday. Not going to feel great if you're headed out to the Ravens game. Now, at least our severe weather threat looks low, at least locally across our state, just a general thunderstorm risk. But you'll notice as you head south to extreme southern parts of the state, we see a marginal and a slight risk for severe weather. That's a greater threat for some strong to severe storms there later tonight as that system starts to push our way, the remnants of Ian at that point. Here's what to expect on Sunday for the Ravens game. I'd have the wet weather gear with you. You're going to want to need it. You're going to have to bring the rain jacket. Temperatures will be in the cooler and the breezy mid-60s throughout that game. And a quick look ahead shows showers will actually be sticking with us Monday into Tuesday. After that, we'll finally start to dry things out. And I think by midweek, we're welcoming back some sunshine along with some warmer temperatures. The low and mid-70s are back as we head through week's end. Shannon?
Oh, that sounds so nice. Thank you, Amy. Well, still ahead, no wonder they're man's best friend. A new study says dogs can sense when you're stressed. How they do it is coming up. But first, LeBron James is buying a sports team, but it's not in the sport that you might expect. The excitement of the WWE returns tonight. Friday Night SmackDown starts at 8. Then keep watching for Fox 45 News at 10 and Fox 45 News Late Edition. It is 11:21. You are watching Fox 45 News Midday. Well, don't miss this. LeBron James is buying a professional sports team, but it is not a basketball team, as you might expect. No, he's buying a pickleball team. James, along with several business partners, are purchasing a Major League Pickleball expansion team for an undisclosed sum. That's somewhere in the 7 figures. Pickleball is a hybrid of tennis, ping pong, and badminton that dates back to the 1960s. The league was founded last year with 12 teams. It's a sport that's really picking up, too. But don't miss this. A new study says dogs can sense when you're stressed, and us dog owners already know that, but specifically, they can smell stress. Previous studies have already confirmed that dogs can tell when a person is scared or happy. Now, the findings are based on 36 people whose breath and sweat samples were collected during and after performing a task. The dogs got the right emotion nearly 94% of the time. That is just amazing. Man's best friend. And speaking of pets, if you like to dress your pet up for Halloween, you are not alone. Many pet lovers are already browsing for costumes for their pets. Now, according to sales from Walmart, oh, look at these. Those are so cute. The most popular costumes this year are Bumblebee, Cow, and Ladybug. I love it. Well, if you couldn't tell, it is Purple Friday, and one of the most anticipated matchups of the NFL season will be taking place in Charm City this weekend. The Ravens and Bills are two of the AFC's most dominant teams, and they'll be going head-to-head for early season supremacy. The kickoff set for 1 o'clock at M&T Bank Stadium. Now, both teams are coming in at 2-1, and we'll get a chance to see two MVP candidates go at it. Lamar Jackson of the Ravens and Josh Allen of the Bills. The Ravens are 6-4 all-time against the Bills, but the last time these two teams met the Ravens, they lost to the Bills in the AFC divisional round in 2020. Well, it's time now for your lunch break, and we are getting our first look at new coins featuring the Charles III. The Royal Mint confirms that they will enter circulation alongside those of Queen Elizabeth II. Now, according to the UK Mint, there are approximately 27 billion coins in circulation that feature the Queen. Well, that is all the time we have for Fox 45 News Midday, and Be More Lifestyles coming right up. Good morning, Mark.
We're talking about food porn. What? Stick around to find out what I'm talking about next.